Hey, I'm Flipshades, and I work in Long Live Tattoo Collective in Denver, Colorado.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Fische, and I own a private studio in Philadelphia, and I also work in Salem, Massachusetts at Speakeasy Gallery, and this is Frankenstein Muffin. He's my manager. I would say that my style is like kind of a hybrid of like new school and neo-traditional, because I use, I think, more line weights than some of the other new school artists, but still, like, you know, different line depth, lots of thickness, lots of dimension to it, kind of just like fun fantasy stuff, like no rules.
My style, I've named it, is neo, new, illustrative, meta, surrealism. That's what I do. Stickers, patches, things like that. Something that just doesn't seem like it's a tattoo, you know, or something that's just that bold or different.
I've been tattooing for 10 years, he's been tattooing for 20. So I would say that we've both tried everything and are both well-rounded to kind of like find the niche that we liked. Really, I feel like the only way to find what you like is to try everything and then see what sticks or like what you enjoy doing or what you're passionate about.
The way that I found my style is pretty much that way too. It was bouncing through a bunch of different styles, especially when I started tattooing. You had to just do anything that walked in the door. It wasn't like you couldn't pick and choose or anything like that. So I learned a lot of different styles, and then I just used that in other ways and broke all those rules in other ways. Like learn the rules the right way and then break them. The images that I portray are like usually crystals, that's like a big thing that got me pretty well known. I do them pretty much everywhere I go, at least 1 or 2 sets. And then they were so clean and sharp, people kept saying they looked like stickers, and then that pushed into that whole world of stickers from that. So I would say for me, it's definitely crystals.
So when I found, when I was doing my stuff, the imagery that I do now, I got really lucky because before I was kind of doing everything. I used to do a lot of like ornamental work. I used to do like a lot of horror, black and gray realism. And then one of my clients, I did a new school jack-o'-lantern puking candy corn on her foot, and Inked magazine shared it like 7 years ago, and it went viral and everybody wants Halloween tattoos, and I'm stoked because pumpkins and Baphomets are my favorite.
We do have a pretty similar process when we design, and I think a lot of artists actually do. We kind of just figure out the space first, and then like rough out the shapes of like what we want to fill that space, and then build from there and talk about potential ideas. I think the key is being open and not being married to anything. Like the collab that we drew today, she went first, so she rendered like a pretty solid idea, and I was like, can we just get rid of this and this and this, and we change it to this and this and this? And she's like, yeah, no problem. So like that's where we start to collaborate. And then as I'm doing this part, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? She's like, oh, do it like this, and so on and so forth. So we can start with like something and build off of it, you know? Like that seems to be the best way. So we kind of spitballed like a basic idea. She went first, and then we just bounce back and forth. And then we'll just look at it and be like, something's amiss here, something's wrong here. What can we do to change this? Like, don't get married to any one particular part of the design. Be willing and open to grow. And that's how you make art. That's how you make cool
criticism.
things. Yeah, exactly.
You have to be able to take criticism from each other.
Yeah. Well, the way we designed today's tattoo was the client was like, hey, I just want to get tattooed by you guys. I love your holographic stickers, talking about those for me. And he loves her characters, like her like Baphomet or whatever, you know? I really like aliens.
And weed.
And weed. And we were like, well, okay, that's done. We're done. We got this, you know? And he's like, you can do whatever you want. I really like aliens and weed. So we actually went outside of the box for us a little bit and did some very different styles.
First, we like bounced ideas off each other, and I like mapped out an alien kind of in like a yoga, like Buddha pose, and like on a spaceship, and then like with a weed leaf behind it, like holding a bong and a joint. And then I gave it to Rick, and he said, what if we like do this instead? Because like I was like kind of iffy about the joint and the bong. I was like, well, we already know he likes weed. He's got a big weed necklace and he's high. So we pulled some of those elements, and he kind of like threw in the stuff that he does. Like he turned the spaceship into a sticker. He threw in these like color beams. We added like some twinkles and stuff. So we made the design like longer and like, you know, a lot more flat color details to go in with like the hologram that's gonna be in the sticker, and then like the new school that's gonna be in the alien flesh.
I feel like this particular design worked out really good because of the way that she started and then kicked it to me, and then I just changed a bunch of things, added a third eye to the alien that she had, made a beam of light coming out of that, and then that was like, maybe I should do another beam of light down here, and we should cut the whole bottom of the alien off because we don't really need the legs, and the legs look weird. It was able to bounce back and forth, and then like even just this morning I was finishing finishing draw on the spaceship, and my iPad, like when you draw like a shape, it like locks the shape in. Well, it locked a different shape in, like I tried to go around corners, but I didn't, and it looked dope. And I was like, damn, I was like, my iPad just collabed with us. Like it knew, it was like, you should probably do it like this. So I think we got to give some credit to Apple.
Procreate.
On this one. All right, so tattooing at the same time is one of the single hardest things ever.
Because you're really rough and I'm really gentle. So
yeah.
I just stop when you wipe so that my line doesn't get
So that's it, right? It's like when I apply ink, my needle pressure is light. I'm like soft-handed, light-handed, but I'll stretch like far. As soon as you let go of the stretch, the skin retracts. And the person on the other side has, so you really have to like breathe in, breathe out with them. You know what I mean? Like we have to like run together, and like I'll run a line and be listening and feel her running a line or something, and then we'll both stop at the same time, dab, and then go right back. Like it's all about timing. And then there's sometimes where it's like, look, just stop for 10 minutes. I gotta get through this section. I can't focus. You know what I mean? Lining together is almost impossible. But shading together is actually pretty easy if we're smart about it. One's at one side, the other one's at the other side. Like today we'll do that for sure because we're doing a lot of full color saturation, and we both saturate the same. Like our saturation game is exact.
Sometimes we'll, work at the same time, and sometimes we'll have to stop. But the bigger the collab is, the more work we can both do at the same time, at least for the outline. But sometimes we just have to take turns with that. But usually coloring we'll both do at the same time.
Yeah.
I would say we've definitely broadened our color palettes working together, but also trying things differently, like different line weights or like different needle brands. If you do it this way, it's easier and more efficient, or like, what if you change that? Mostly just like, I would say bouncing off ideas and each other's skill set. Like we kind of take tricks out of each other's wheelhouse and share them.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. That's how it is too. Like that's maybe one of the best things about working with other artists too. Like a lot of younger tattooers are like, I'm just gonna open a private studio. And that's cool, I get it. Like I would actually work at this point in my career in a private studio and be great and enjoy it, However, there's something about working with, like I work with Jimmy and Josh on a daily basis every day. There's something about working with those guys, like I talked about earlier, like every design I do, I bounce off of someone. There's like I need that like in my life, like it helps motivate you to grow and become a better artist. So like working with her, she taught me a bunch of things. She's so meticulous and does such fine little things that like normally you wouldn't even try to approach because it's like too small, but it's perfect and she does it good. It's got a good line in there. It's gonna stay. It's not going anywhere, Like those are things that are hard to approach. Everybody does it a little differently, especially when you collab with someone, you learn how they do it. And that's it too, like once you want to grow and you understand, like we both understand how to apply ink really well. We understand what the needle groupings do. We understand how design works. I understand color palettes, both of us, So like once we understand all those things and then somebody has a different angle on something, I can grasp it immediately. I'd be like, oh, that's brilliant. I never thought of that before. I'm gonna totally do that. I'm using that. That's the best thing about tattooing. That's how you grow.
We've tattooed long enough to kind of learn the things that you do and don't to withstand the test of time. It's a lot of like, learning from your mentor, learning from your peers, and like trial and error, Like when you start tattooing, at least for me, I worked on a lot of my friends, so I got to see them healed and see them all the time to see what I did right and what I did wrong. Yeah. Or I would tattoo like myself.
To like stand the test of time is really hard. It's something I think about all the time because of the stickers, the huge white borders all around things. People are always like, man, that border's gonna turn a little bit of skin tony color or like not be as white or whatever. And I'm like, that might happen. Honestly, that might happen over time, but the underlying tattoo that's inside of the sticker that's got a clean black line and perfectly saturated is not gonna change. And it's still gonna look cool. It's just gonna look like a weathered sticker. I do put an edge in so like it doesn't just disappear on the sides or anything. I do that on purpose. I've been putting more colors into my white to try to make it stand even longer. And that's really the goal, is to just keep evolving. So like the first ones that I did, I learned, how to make them last longer and stay longer. The same with embroidery. It's like about like what color choices you use to make it survive. You got to look at it a year later, 2 years later. I learned, how to like do it the right way.